Okay, so thank you for joining us. For I think those who are here, we see a number of audiences with us today, and also we see a number of audiences online who join us online today. We're going to have a sharing. Basically, the talk is going to be in two parts. In the first part, we'll have an interactive sessions with the students here, and we have student team who is with us today. So we have Sasi, who is from India. He's actually doing business administration. He's doing our from a school of business year one. We have Philippe from Brazil, and he's actually doing chemistry in year three. And we have Jenny from Vietnam. She's doing computer science in her year two. So today we're going to start with uh, discussions about some on surrounding actually our topics, how to be a competitive candidate. And by seeing that, what we'll be doing is for the first half an hour, we will have an interactive discussions with the students on to share their experience on how they actually apply, what's their considerations on when they actually select a university, how they actually do it, the 1 year or 1.5 year before they actually enter university, how they actually select university, how they prepared for applications and things like that. And before we start, maybe I can introduce, each of you can introduce a little bit about yourself. Maybe start with Sasi. Yeah.
Oh, hey, I am Sasi. I am from India, as already mentioned. I'm doing BBA first year now. And like you guys, I have international qualification. I did the IB. And yeah, I'll be sharing my experience so far, at least with you guys today.
Hi everyone, I'm Felipe. I'm from Brazil and I'm third year in chemistry. My qualifications were local Brazil qualifications and SAT subjects and an English proficiency test.
Hello everyone, my name is Jenny. I'm from Vietnam and currently I'm a second year student majoring in computer science. And at the same time, I also become a student representative for Vietnamese students. So I'm really welcome all of you to HKBU, and it's my honor to share my experience to all of you about how to be a competitive candidate.
Okay, thank you, the three of you. So let me start with the first questions when we work all the way back from before you select a universities. When you're in a high school, just how you actually mentioned about your qualifications and your background. So maybe we can start with Philippe on when you're doing your preparing for your university applications, when you're selecting from a pool of different universities and different programs, how did you actually go about nailing down that one or few universities or program choices of what you actually did in the finally, 3 4 years before?
So it's kind of an interesting story because when choosing my universities, like my parents always wanted to push me to go for the top universities or the best universities. They did research on their own. They like presented options to me. But like all I felt like I really wanted to was do something that I liked in a place that I would enjoy living in. And what I really liked was chemistry. So I already started choosing universities with their chemistry. Like I already looked at their chemistry program and like what they offered, what line of research they were going into, and that was one of my like if not my main factor in deciding universities. And the second one was if I would actually be happy living in that environment. So if the climate was something that I would be able to like and tolerate, the people, the food, and yeah, that was my main criteria.
That was quite interesting. So you actually choose it from your sharing today and also some of our previous conversations. You are very much focused on chemistry, and that's why you actually nail down from that. So from Jenny, maybe you can share with us how you actually choose your university.
Yeah, about me, I will first looking for the location because I'm staying in Asian. So just like all of us, like we're looking for something far distant, like US or Canada. But after pandemic, it's not allow me to go too far away. So I narrow down into Hong Kong. And then I was looking down for university environment that it have provided me with a lot of facility, the gorgeous campus. And then because HKBU is also popular for my computer science major. So yeah, that's why I narrowed down my choices.
Okay. So last but not least, Sasi, you share with
So
us?
mine was actually based on the pertinence of the location to my degree, the thing I wanted to pursue, BBA, and also the weather. So in India, it's very hot. So I really wanted to go to a country where it's not really as hot, a bit colder. So I decided on Hong Kong. But apart from that, Hong Kong is also a financial hub, and so it's very pertinent to BBA. And I might also decide to work here. So I just thought of coming to Hong Kong.
Okay, that's interesting because of the weather. Well, weather right now it's pretty good right now. I think in Hong
So
Kong it's the best time for hiking. Okay, so when we move on, can you can all of you share with me, with the audience today here and also online, some tips on how do you actually prepare your application? Maybe we can also start with Philippe.
Yeah, for sure. So when I sat down and decided that I was going to start preparing for applications, the first thing that I did was start a checklist. So I made a checklist of all necessary steps that I needed to take in order to apply to any one university, all of the documents that I needed. And then every single time I had something ready and I finished organizing a Word document with my resume, or I wrote down a personal statement, an essay, every single time I would go to the checklist, put it there, and double check if everything was in order to make sure I had track of everything. And then basically the most important thing in my opinion for me that took most of my time and effort was the personal statement and the interview preparation later on. Those two were like they require a lot more focus and to have a good idea of how to show yourself, how to not sell yourself, but how to show your strengths and skills in an academic way that make the in the university see that you're interested in learning, you're driven by your own desires to further your own education, and that you have the backing and the skills and to to show that you are capable of doing it.
Okay, so we can actually have some more. I think just now you actually mentioned very good points about how you tackled your personal statements and how do you actually show your motivations. I think that is a very important part because in the previous talk just now we also got answers from some of the audiences to ask us, what is really required in personal statement. Maybe in that matter, maybe Sasi, you can also share with us.
yeah, so when it came to the personal statement, I spent a lot of time on that, but I did a lot of research on the universities first to see their core principles and what they actually wanted from the candidates. And then instead of going about it the academic way, as in talking about the qualifications I'd earned or the certificates I had, I went about it in a way that showed the university how I overcame a major hurdle in my life. For example, one of my other friends, he spoke about how overcame fear of public speaking because of a vocal disability he had, and the things he had done, for example, MUN and all of that over the course of the past 7 years. So you could go about it that way, or you could also talk about any aspirations, especially ones related to social work you have and how you've been working on that over the past 5 years or through middle school and high school. And when it came to just like accumulating your documents and all of that, I took all the documents I needed, the vaccination records, everything, and then just put them all together in one folder and just secured that with my life because I had to make sure that was safe. So that's all I did.
Okay, interesting. So last, maybe Jenny can also share with us some of your tips.
For me, the first important one will be personal statement that I will invest my time for it. Like I will show because that is the way how to express yourself to interview so that you can put something about your major, your dream job after you graduation, or your currently job if you are working as a part-time job or full-time job. That's also a high extra bonus to interview. And then after that, I will look down for the recommendation from high school teacher. So I will find my best teacher, my lovely teacher, and then they will help me for the recommendation letter. And then next, I will check the key timeline of admission because we have to submit the IELTS score. So make sure that you have to check all the key line important so that you won't miss out any timeline. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. Some I think I actually have some other questions, but let's drill on that a little bit more on applications. You know, very practically, I think for most of the students, including yourself, you did not only apply to one university. As you said, you know, you make up from a long list of destinations, and then once you actually probably if you choose your major first, you will find a list of universities that fits that major. If you want to try, you know, destination first, Hong Kong, you'll probably look at other universities in Hong Kong as well. So one very practical questions, you know, when you apply for so many university, what is do you have any advice, you know, to be careful of for the audience here and also the audience online? You know, how do you actually manage? For example, just an example. Oh, I'm applying to 3 universities in Hong Kong. Did you actually prepare personal statement that's different for each university, or do you have a strategy for that?
So for my personal statement, I did one personal statement for which, and that one personal statement was what I used for basically all of my university applications. So it kind of, I didn't tailor it specifically to one university or other. I tailored it in such a way that it shows who I am, what are my skills academically, what I like to do, what drives me. So it's more a general overview of myself and like touching upon my qualifications without outright saying them. And I feel like that was suited for all the universities that applied because they all placed importance on these aspects. This was primarily because of my time. I was really pressed on time, so I did not have the time to specifically tailor it to each university, but I would have done that had I had the time for sure.
Great. I think one of the easier way for you because your aspirations is for chemistry, and that actually makes it simple if you know to not to change that because throughout, you know, from our experience of seeing different students, you know, some students will apply for one program saying for example we will actually see applications for students, for example, that applied for say chemistry with seeing that, oh, my passion is physics, but he's actually applying for a chemistry program. So do remember when you're mentioning anything specific in your personal statement. I think that's actually very common problem among all of our applicants, all universities applicants. It's that all of the high school students are all pressed of time because in your last year, you're probably very busy preparing for final examinations. And one of the things is sending multiple applications, and that will actually makes a lot of mistakes. So, and when that actually gives a problem when the program administrator or the program director that sees your applications that when they say that you're not completely referring to them, then they might feel a little bit not respected. I think that's actually some of the things that people have to take care or to be aware of. What about you, Sasi? Do you have any advice?
Right. Yeah. So I actually started earlier on with my application process. I think I started in August. So I had quite some time to tailor my personal statement according to the needs of the different universities. And as I mentioned before, I just showed the universities how I manifested their core values and principles within my own experiences and my own passion and all of that. So I guess I went about it that way. But I also spoke about how I did different courses that also helped me embody their values. So yeah, that's how I went about it because I had time.
Okay, so one of the advice is start early if you can, and that will actually help, you know, because if you're a deadline fighter that actually runs it, you'll find that most of the university application deadlines will run into 1 month. So in that particular window, if you start, for example, like Sasi in August, then it will be better to give you more time to tailor. What about Jenny? Do you have any advice?
For me, I will make only one personal statement, but I will change for different universities. I will no doubt about why I want to choose this university and how it make me want to become a university student there. And then after that, I will show about my general personal information about my dream major that I want to be in personal statement. Yeah.
Okay, so that's about preparing on the application part. So next, I want to actually ask all of your experience on admissions interview. So maybe we can also start with we can probably start with Sasi this round to
Yeah.
share with us some of the your experience in interviews and how to actually tackle and prepare for the interviews.
Right. So, preparation wise, for this as well, I started a bit early, but yeah, I just touched upon everything that they might ask, and one of the core questions is always introduce yourself. So I focused on nailing that question because only if you attract the interest of the interviewer right at the beginning will you be able to maintain their hold throughout, and you'd also stand out at the end of it if you nail that one question. So I focused on that by just keeping it succinct but precise. And you could also like crack a joke. It is just a conversation. It's not, you don't have to panic a lot. So I guess the main advice I kept telling myself was do not panic because if you panic, you will mess up. So that is what I told myself. And yeah, it is just a conversation.
Yeah, for that, I also prepared a lot for the interview, and the panic is always there because it's an interview. Oh, you might be having the department head behind, like the guys who's interviewing you or something. So what I did for preparing for is like I grabbed my friend and I asked him to pretend to be the interviewer. I prepared mock questions ranging anywhere from the basic ones like introduce yourself to questions like exploring something that was on my personal statement, like a specific situation, talking about the like global situation and how you would fit in that. Because at the time, specifically, COVID was starting to like really affect universities and schools and everything. So that actually ended up as a question in my interview. But yeah, basically just going through the motions of it, like being ready, prepared, like adjusting your clothes, and then having someone pretend to be an interviewer, it really like helps you get over the nervousness of being in an interview. Because yeah, as he said, in the end of the day, it's just a conversation between you and the interviewer, and he's getting to know you a little bit. That's all it is.
Okay, so Jenny, do you have anything to share on that?
Yeah, about tips for interviews. So first of all, I will prepare for some common questions, and then after that, I will try to be like doing the interview by myself before the mirror, and then yeah, I will just keep be confident, and then even like if it's face to face or online interview, make sure that you have to be punctual and then dress smartly and comfortably, be confident so that you will have a really good interview.
Okay, that's very interesting because I think due to the nature of the pandemic, obviously for the past 2 years, even for the local students, a lot of the interviews are being held online, and obviously because for the three of them, they're actually coming from all the way from different parts of the globe. I think that will actually give you, the default of your interview is going to be online, and most of it it's one-on-one. Have you actually been to any Zoom interview that's not one-on-one or is a group interview? Do you have that?
I think for my BU interview, it was like me and the interviewer talking, but then there was two other people. One that was like a facilitator, and then someone else actually from the Department of Chemistry, like helping, like asking questions and also participating.
So you got a panel interview. So there's
Yeah, I got
three
a panel
persons
interview. Yeah, it was like
asking questions.
me.
Oh, does that actually makes you panic?
A little bit at the start, yeah, but then they were just like friendly. The questions were like I could answer them and talk about them like in like because I had prepared beforehand and I was confident in that. So even though it was a bit intimidating, it was very manageable and I actually enjoyed it a bit.
Okay, okay. What about you?
Yeah,
Sasi?
I also had a panel interview. I had Mr. Ryan Mann, the
Yeah.
economics teacher, and someone from the administration office as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, as he said, it was actually quite nice. I enjoyed it at the end. It was just a conversation at the end of it. I didn't know that it was going to be a conversation
Hmm.
as much. I suspected it, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, it was quite pleasant. It was friendly, and I got to know the nature of the university as well.
Mm.
And yeah, at the end of it, I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. Well, actually, that's a very good point. When we prepare interview, especially for students here and student online, um, don't think about it as a venue or occasions to be asked. Is actually the best opportunity for you to understand the particular program and for you to actually understand the university a bit more. It's a time for you to actually ask questions, which a lot of the interviewee doesn't really aware of that. And for if you ask me for advice, I think one of the biggest advice is you don't really think about what they will ask you, or not what the interviewer will ask you, but think of what you want to ask the interviewer on the program itself. Is actually the best place for you to understand the program, because when you are looking for universities, it's really about fit, because you might be actually sitting on 3 to 4 university interview, and this is actually the best time, other than of course occasions like today, when you can actually ask our faculty directly on how the program is like. But often they're not, when you are all the way down to April, sometimes when you're doing your interview, April or May, you don't really have the luxury of time to call up each of the programs to actually understand more. So this will be the best time. And if you prepare good questions to ask the interviewer, I think it will actually add some points for you as well, because we also don't want students who are just one-way communications kind of thing.
Yeah, expanding on that a little bit, for my interview, I prepared questions for the interview about one or two because I didn't like I thought that was an acceptable number. And like they were based off of things that I wanted to know about, like for example, how I would go about getting research as an undergrad, how I would get in touch with my professors for work and stuff during the summer, things that you usually don't find on the website or on like information brochures about the course or the university itself actually. So and like their replies like really enlightened me on like how it actually works, and that actually helped me actually like get a job for summer for the past 2 summers working with the professor in the lab.
That's great. Okay, so any other advice would you actually give to students who are applying maybe this year or next, or we have some online audience as well who are going to apply, for the coming cohort? Do you have any other advice or tips that you want to share with them?
I mean, honestly, as you mentioned, in the interview, the questions were the main part for me that I prepared for, and I guess if you want any like scholarships or something like that, I guess asking questions based on that would also help you understand the requirements a bit more. And at the end, I think I asked what is who is the ideal candidate, as in a graduate candidate for you at the end of the day. After you graduate, what do you want them to be like? What principles would you like them to inherit from the university? And I guess asking questions like that would actually help you understand how the university works, the nature of it. Is it extremely studious, or is it balanced? And yeah, and when it comes to just general tips, I guess applying early is the best decision I made, because it helped me get everything out of the way, and it helped me prepare for my final examinations, because at the end of it, while the qualitative aspects of you matter, the exam also matters a lot. So I guess applying early is the best advice I can give you, because then you'd be able to get everything out of the way and focus on your final exams.
Okay. I think you bring out a very good point about scholarships. I think scholarship is also especially for the international students who will be coming to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is quite expensive. If you have you can actually share your experience in Hong Kong. Things are here a little bit expensive, but in terms of scholarships, I think the university is generous in terms of giving out different kind of grants, especially to help students to relocate to Hong Kong, and also to make sure that diversity that we are looking for among the campuses. I think some students I would say think about scholarships as to money to actually help themselves. In the other way, scholarships for everybody or for to get the best students and to get the most diverse students, it also helps the local students as well, because we are making the whole campus richer. That's the reason why you'll see a lot of friends or cohorts from all over the world. You have people from Brazil, we have people from Africa, we have people from all the continents of the world. I think that that's what you actually would like to see as an undergraduate. So that's actually about the application part. So maybe we can actually take some time to share about your experience in Hong Kong. I think for the three of you who are here, maybe I can actually get Sasi to share. You have been in Hong Kong, just for a few months, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how's it apart from the weather? You're starting to experience the cold weather now,
Yes, I love
but
it now.
it's already like end of October and we are still feeling like 30 degrees.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Okay, so as soon as I came to Hong Kong, I had to get all the administrative stuff out of the way, as in get my HKID, apply for the Octopus card, and all of that. And what I noticed was it was very efficient. It was very quick. I had to spend like a maximum of 10 to 15 minutes on the entire process, which was quite surprising because I was prepared to spend like 5 hours on it, but it was just 15 minutes. And apart from that, I guess the food here, I'm actually vegetarian, so I have limited choices, but the traditional desserts and all are quite tasty, and you can get them anywhere. And oh, nature wise, something you wouldn't really expect in a financial hub is a lot of nature, but when you go to the new territories and all of that, it's very nice. It's you can go on hikes and spend a lot of time with friends there, and at the end of the day, it's quite pleasant. So yeah, and you also get student discounts at the MTR, Starbucks on campus, the Pacific on campus. So yeah, cumulatively, I like all of that.
Interesting. So I know that Philip actually bring us some photos that you want to share on Hong Kong.
Yeah,
You want to talk about it? Let me just put up those photos.
for sure. Put him up. So all of these photos were taken by myself, either with my phone or a friend's phone, which is a better camera. Basically, the first thing I did when I got to Hong Kong was, apart from admin stuff, was like explore the city, because I came here with the thought in mind that I would like to live here. So I started going on weekly hikes, actually organized by the undergrad halls at that time. So we got to visit Dragon's Back, Lion's Rock, Victoria Peak, and all other sorts of places that are like extremely good. I even took a course that focuses on like the city of Hong Kong and how it's an actually like very well planned urban environment with lots of nature. So on these pictures, the left picture is on one of the hikes that basically I was just walking along a road and I was like struck by how beautiful everything looked, like how much nature there is despite it being like a concrete jungle essentially. And yeah, like this is a park in, where was it? I think it's Niao Tao Kok. I do not know how to pronounce that, so please excuse my pronunciation. But it's like so beautiful, and it's in the middle of all of the buildings. Like I just love like going to places like this and sitting down and like actually enjoying my time in Hong Kong. Yeah, the last picture was actually a sunrise hike that I did. So I started the hike in the middle of the night, and by the time I reached the top, the sun was starting to come out. So it was like really beautiful, and getting to see the city from that height was like really nice. And then on the right is like the more urban side of Hong Kong, which I also enjoy, although I still prefer nature.
Okay.
Basically, Hong Kong has just so many beautiful sites, so many beautiful places to visit. Food as well, it's very varied. I also have some dietary restrictions, but that has never stopped me from enjoying local food or all sorts of cuisines that are here, like Thai, Vietnamese, some European. Basically, yeah, there's just too many people, too many things to do and enjoy.
Interesting. I think that's actually apply, on the Hong Kong part, it was really more for our audiences online who are joining us from all over the world. And Jenny, do you have anything that you like about Hong Kong? I heard that you you fix your destination in Hong Kong really early on, that you really love Hong Kong. That's why you actually come here.
Yeah, for sure. To talk about my experience, that I really love Hong Kong because there are lots of nature views from like mountain to sea and then the landscape. So even like after examination, just like today, after today, I will have a time with my friends to go, yeah, to go to Lion Rock for hiking. So that is like a way for me to get rid of all the stressful things. And then yeah, about food, I really love Hong Kong local food here. And yeah, after that I can find a lot of Vietnamese food from my local. And then yeah, Thailand or Korean, everything. I will never feel hungry here. And and then after that about experience things that I can learn a little bit Cantonese. So I will find a way to talk with Cantonese with local so that they really are amazing. That's how I can speak Cantonese a little bit.
Okay, so you can speak Cantonese a little bit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's after 2 years of very really, I've been to Ho Chi Minh a couple of times, but I think it's too difficult to learn. It's very different language. So just now we actually mentioned about Hong Kong. I think the last part of our casual talk before we go on to more admissions related information, it's what's the part of the HBU experience that you love the most so far? Maybe you can start with Pepe.
So the part of the HKBU experience that I like most was honestly the freedom and the people here. As soon as I got here, I was welcomed by the international community, the international association, and just people that were like, they saw me, a new student coming in, and then they just approached me and like quickly made friends. And honestly, that was like really like that made me really really happy because I was coming all the way from Brazil, which is like on the other side of the world. I didn't know what to expect of the people here, but it was just so amazing. And on the topic of freedom, like yeah, it is different when you're living by yourself. University life is fundamentally different. So all the things I could do in BU, the places I could visit, and also academically, like how easy it was for me to explore my interests and get in touch with professors and people to help me. I feel like that was the part that I most enjoyed.
Okay, so you also mentioned about doing research at HKBU. Can you share something about it?
Yeah, that I think that plays into freedom because the way I got to experience research was like I really wanted to do it. So I just approached one of my professors after my lecture and like asked him, hey, how do you know how I could go about like getting the job as a student helper or helping out with research, participating, because I really wanted to do it. And then he indicated me to another professor who was looking for students to help him with his research. And after some discussion and like drawing not a contract per se, but an agreement, I actually like joined him in his research, and I did that for about 4 months. And then even after like summer was over, like he still wanted me to continue there, and I still wanted to continue there. So even today, I'm still like as much as I can with all of my midterms assignments and classwork. As much as I can, I still go to the lab and like help out with wherever I can with research.
See, that's very interesting. So maybe Jenny, what's your experience? I know you share with us some photos. You want to
Yes,
put up?
for sure. I really love. Oh yeah, the first pick is about hiking with my floor mate. So as you can see, like we have students coming from around the world. We have local here, mainland, Europe, Asian from Philippines, and Vietnam for me. And then yeah, we go hiking on the Lion Rock at the midnight. And then so yeah, we're staying here to watch the sunset. So it's really, really amazing. And I get rid all of the stressful things. And then the second big is my first meeting with my floor mates. That is the dinner gathering about, and yeah, I really enjoy to stay in the floor. I was so lucky to have my one of my floor mates so nice and friendly. Yeah. And then this is my first time being student ambassador for exchange student this year. So we will take them around HKBU to show them about the facilities, about the major campus. And then next after that, we will go to lawful for the food, and then show them about the local cultures here, about the markets in lawful. And then yeah, we go back to HKBU, and then yeah, this was really amazing experience for me.
Okay. So Sasi, you want to share?
Yeah, looking at it the more career based like scene, I recently went to a company called Alpha Sites, and that was organized by HKBU, and I learned a lot about the current consulting market and the job market there and how they actually do it. And yeah, it was quite interesting because I was more used to the traditional consulting um, field, but now I learned more about their operations. And I like that HKB tried to immerse me into the job market early on since I'm still a first year student. So that I liked. And also, when it comes to education, the professors are very knowledgeable about their field, obviously, but they also give you a lot of examples from their own work experience, which I found very interesting and also helped me understand the concepts better. And for example, my accounting teacher always talks about how the concepts manifest themselves in the real world and also how you can go around it. But yeah, it's just interesting at the end of the day.
Okay. Okay, so that's actually very interesting. So before we move on to the part I want to actually touch on, the admissions procedures. Is there any questions from the floor? If you want to ask our students here today, if you want to ask them any questions from interview tips or anything in particular, you want to just raise your hand from the floor if you want to, and also take some questions from online. If you are watching us on the webinar, please just use the Q&A button to prop some questions. Yeah, we have one question, Silver.
Hi, nice to meet you all. So you guys mentioned that when you're applying, you briefly mentioned that you also had some other experiences or qualifications. So do you think that also helps promote your profile when you're applying for universities? And if so, can you tell us what other experiences or qualifications you guys applied?
I think I can start with that because I feel like I did not use any of the international curriculums for applications. I actually used like my Brazilian national exams course and high school transcripts because yeah. So that was kind of an interesting because me and my counselor had to work together with the university to validate my transcript and my national exam results in a contextualized manner, as like taking into consideration what like the Brazilian average are, how it compares to like American and or other curriculums. And so that was kind of a trip, but yeah, basically show them what you have. So international curriculum, yeah, show them that. If you want to supplement that, I also showed them my resume, which includes extracurriculars, some projects that I worked on, things like that.
Adding on to that, I did the IB, and so it's quite generalized. So I didn't really have to go through the troubles of contextualizing it. But answering your question about the extracurriculars and how they are actually quite important to your resume overall, I organized an MUN and raised funds for the education of underprivileged children, and I spoke about how that is related to how in the future, at least, I want to do more work related to educating children who cannot really afford it, and yeah, that sort of it shows them, it shows the interviewers, sorry, it shows the admissions department your perseverance for a particular topic or your own interests. And you just have to show them how you've been working on that particular goal over a period of time. And so you can do that. And you can also use courses and other certificates to supplement your current knowledge on a particular field. For example, if I'm doing BBA, I did a course on the financial markets. So I told the admissions office about how that helped me sort of understand the concepts better in high school and stuff like that.
Just to add a little bit on that questions, from the admissions office perspective, we always get asked these questions: how many should I submit, or how much should I actually give? Is it the more the merrier? But the actual fact is, you can just imagine, from not just HKBU but all the universities that you're going to apply, that we receive thousands and thousands of applicants, every day. You will think about one question: how do I differentiate myself? Is it the more the merrier? But my experience is, it's not really the case. My advice is relevancy, as what actually they actually share. How relevant is your extracurricular activities to the program you're applying, and how relevant is the described experience that you might have to actually do to work. For example, if you've done a lot of social work, or you've done a lot of services, um, what kind of programs will look for people who have that kind of qualities? How what those actually shows what a person you are. And if you have submitted some of those informations, references, extracurricular activities, my advice is, during if that's one thing, or some of it that's highly relevant to the things that you're applying, remember to bring that up during your interviews. Interviews will be the time when you mention it. I would say I would say most of the program directors will look at your profile, but not always. They will take into details on all your backgrounds before they interview you. So when you interview, if you have something specific that you share, for example, you have this very wonderful recommendations from a teacher, that says about you, then you can also bring that up during interviews to show them. I think that would be thing. Sometimes it's not the more the merrier, but my advice is really the relevancy. Any other questions from the floor? Okay, so from our webinar,
What are the requirements to enter this university?
requirements.
Yes.
Okay, so on the entrance requirements, I will cover it in a bit later on. So we have about 10 minutes later for a quick presentation. If that's any questions with regards to actual requirements and also the application procedures, we will have another Q&A right at the end of the sessions. So right now, if you have any questions for the floor, I got one questions from online. Natasha actually asked what additional exams did the student ambassador take, if any. So any additional exams other than, just now, I think Sasi actually said you are from IB.
Yeah, so I didn't actually take any other exams. I just took the IB exams, and when you get a particular score in IB, it sort of compensates for the other. For example, I didn't take the IELTS because of my English course in the IB, so I didn't have to take any of them. So if you have the IB, if you did the IB, then you don't have to do it.
Yeah, in my case, I actually did take a few extra exams, but they were because they were relevant to my course. So I took SAT subjects, chemistry, maths, and physics, because they're very relevant when you want a science course. And then for English proficiency, I actually had to take TOEFL, and then I did TOEFL as well as the SAT, which was what I used for application purposes.
Jenny, do you have?
Me, I only need the IELTS requirement score so that I will apply for it. And then before that, I have to well prepare for the personal statement and then the IELTS score. Yeah.
Okay, so okay, with that, we'll end the first part. I will quickly go through in around 5 to 10 minutes on the requirements and also the applications. Maybe right at the end, if you have anything to ask about entrance requirements and scholarships, we'll put it to the end. So just now, I think what the three students already shared, it's their experience at HKBU. And for the universities, I think for those of you who are here with us in the audience today, then you can understand, you probably understand Hong Kong already, and you'll probably understand HKBU already. For the sake of those students who are online with us today, HKBU, we will proud ourselves as a standout liberal arts educator in Asia, and you can actually see that we have some new initiatives, especially in the last years. We developed many new transdisciplinary or arts related subjects. We are government-funded universities, and we use English to teach as a medium of language, and we are located right in the city center. In terms of class size, I think also for the sake of the audience here, we are not a very big university. And if you compare to other universities in Hong Kong, we are 7,000 undergraduate students. So that will put us as a medium to small universities if you compare other universities in Hong Kong. But that will be an advantage if you ask me, as most of the students here, you will actually experience it, that in smaller universities, you actually get more attentions and more resources. And that will actually leads to the point when there will be more chances for you to actually go on exchange. You'll have actually more support when you go on to short field trips overseas and also locally. More companies come here to actually take students on internship. I think if you are for the case of Philippe, you will have I want to do research. You can actually do some research as an undergraduate as well. And in terms of the choices of disciplines, and we offered disciplines across our faculties and schools. So we have 7 faculties and schools ranging from arts, science, social science, business. We have a Chinese medicine, we have communications and creative arts. So this is a quick browse of the majors that we have. So if you have if you have not collected, we have a brochure on international qualifications that can be taken outside here or at our booth. If you have not already taken it, it will actually list all the programs that you can apply to. These 2 years we are promoting, and we started a lot of cross-disciplinary personalized pathway programs. I think this will be a trend going forward, not only at HKBU but in the world as well. There will, graduates in the next decades will actually require more information or skill set from more than one disciplines, and that's why we actually started. Right now we have 5 programs that it's cross-disciplinary. They actually jump across subjects. That's actually more than one faculty and schools, which is business computing and data analytics, which is a crossover from Faculty of Science in Computer Science with our business school. We have arts and technology, how traditional arts can be supplemented and also grown out, to be more, to fit into things like the metaverse. We also have a business administration program that actually focuses on global entertainment. We have a social science program that called Innovation and Health and Social Well-being, which is also to use technology to actually supplement social sciences. And last but not least, we have a personalized pathway program that is actually available from last year. This year is the first cohort. So if you are interested, next year is the new cohort. Personalized pathway meaning that you come up with something that you want to solve, a problem, be it a problem that you want to solve. For example, I really want to save all the little animals in the world, something like that. And then we will actually assign you with an academic advisor to tailor and personalize a program for you, across different subjects across the whole universities to put into one program that only, you'll be taking it for yourself. Quickly, I think just now already, our students here already shared things like student exchange, research opportunities, and probably later on for SASI, you'll be facing some entrepreneurship opportunities as well. You can actually start a company in Hong Kong. And hall life is also another big issue, be it for local students and for overseas students. I think just now Jenny shared a lot on her hall life. For local students and overseas students, will be guaranteed at least 1 year on campus, so it will be an experience for you to know a lot of more friends. And other than that, service learning, interest clubs, and also all kind of different experiences. I think those are the things that you will, you will only experience. This will be the best few years looking forward for, the whole part of your life, I think I would say, because right after you start work, I think things will be very, very different. And this is the best to actually enjoy now. And I'll just quickly go through the admissions information. For entrance requirement, just now I think for us, we already talked a lot about, from different backgrounds. For international qualifications, we accept IB, GCE, if you have SAT and others. I think there's a long list of entrance requirements that you can actually get into the universities using. We accept students from different countries, and we have a very long list. You can actually check out our website. But I think for the sake of those here, the minimum requirement will be IB diploma. So you have to complete IB diploma. For GCE A levels, it's 3E in 3 AL subjects. And if you are taking SAT to supplement your high school, then the minimum is 1190 out of 1600. English language requirement, other than the IELTS and TOEFL that you can actually take, which IELTS will require overall band 6 and TOEFL will require IBT of 79. There will also be substitutes. Just now, Sasi, as you mentioned, if you're taking IB, then a grade 4 in IB English, SL and HL will actually supplement. So if you're already taking IB and you have an English subjects and you have a English literature subjects or English B, you can use that as the English to satisfy our English language requirement. You don't really have to take it's not definitely that you have to take IELTS or TOEFL. And if you have done O levels, GCSE English grade C will also suffice. So the best place to check if your particular qualifications is on our list, it's our website. So we will list all the different requirements for different countries, especially for those who are joining us online today. So for the intake next year, if you are local applicants, there will be 2 rounds. There will be main rounds and extended rounds. For local applicants, the main round starts from now until January. If you are international applicants, then we will have an early round, a main round, and an extended round. The early rounds will actually end here. Will end in 31st of November. So next month, 30th of November. There's only 30 days in November. Next month is actually the first early round. As what they actually advise, apply early, as early as possible. And for most of the programs, we actually runs on a rolling basis. So the earlier you apply, the better your chance of getting accepted, and also a little bit more better of your chance to actually secure a scholarship with us if you're a non-local student. Online applications is simple, and you can choose a maximum of 2 program choices. And you'll be invited to interviews, auditions, or portfolio if applicable. And the offer of acceptance will when we actually issue offer, it will either receive a conditional or a firm offer. Some of the students will also receive offer with admissions scholarships. I think that you do not have to apply for scholarship separately. So if you during the phase of our evaluations, we believe during according to your academics results or interview results that you're worthy of our scholarships, will include that in the offer letter. Quickly go through fees and expenses. The tuition fee this year for non-local students is 145,000 Hong Kong dollars. And if you add in, if you are a non-local student, add in the student residence fees and also personal expenses depending on your lifestyle choices, it will be approximately around 26,000 US dollar per year. So this is actually the amount of money you have to prepare if you are not having any kind of scholarships. If you're local students, the tuition fee is 42,100. I think that's actually same as the cheapest. So the local student fees, and the student residence fees is a bit more cheaper than if you're non-local, around 14,222. So this is actually the residence fees. Admission scholarships for the local students, there's actually 2 types of scholarships. So we have a full tuition scholarship, which is 42,100, which is basically your first year tuition fee waived. For applicants who are with 3 ALs, if you score 3A and above, and or you IB applicants if you score 37 or above, And if you're SAT applicants, you have a SAT score of 1430 and above, you will be put into our full tuition scholarships. That's for local students. For half scholarships, which is first year of your tuition fee, you pay half of it, um, which is listed here as well. So the requirements is listed here. So for example, GCE A levels, we need AAB and IB 35 and also SAT 1360. No separate application is actually required for local scholarships. For international students, we'll have 3 tiers of scholarships, which is a full scholarships, which is 195,000 Hong Kong dollar per annum, and a tuition waiver, which is a tuition fee waived, and half scholarship is half the value of our full scholarship. So these scholarships will can be renewable for international students if you are performing well in your academics when you're here. So basically, you have to renew a CGPA of 3.0 every year to continue your scholarship. And many of our academic departments offer one-off scholarships for international students and local students as well. So do check out on the Student Affairs Office website on different kinds of scholarships that is available. For international students, the assessment criteria will primarily be based on academic performance. So academic performance is very important. Non-academic performance, including interviews, will also be important for especially international applicants. So those are the things that you will need to take care of. And before we end, let me just take questions from the floor. If you want to have any questions about admissions and also qualifications, and also we'll take some questions from online. Okay, so I got one questions on the web. How many students in one class in average? I think this is actually a very good question, especially we have students here. So maybe you can share with us in your faculty, in your class size, how many students are there?
Well, it depends on the course, honestly. So if it's a core course, then you have around 80 students, 90 students. For example, economics has a lot of students, but if it's an elective, you have around, for example, Chinese, you have around 30 students, 30 to 40. So it depends on the course, but on average, you could probably see around 50 students in every class on average.
I feel like science has less students because for chemistry, my core courses, I have about 30, 20 to 30, sometimes more classmates for chemistry core courses. And then GE courses, as he said, is generally around 30 as well. Language courses is a bit less, like 20 something. But yeah, I think that's it for me.
For my major computer science, the class will be around 50 students for one section. And then before that for GE, it could be around 100 for one section. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, again, I'd like you to clarify the entry requirements if a student, for example, is taking the GCE A levels. And again, I noticed that on the list of qualifications, it's specifically mentioned that, excluding language subjects, right, Chinese or English. And again, if a student is taking A levels, Chinese and English, in addition to art and design and econ, would that be considered fulfilling the entry requirements? And also, what if that specific student is also taking the SAT? Okay, GCE A levels plus SAT. Would that be considered fulfilling the entry requirements?
Okay, so my first questions will be, for this particular, for this students, so he or she will have a high school diploma, graduating from one high school, right?
Yeah, high school
Okay.
diploma.
So basically, to satisfy the entrance requirement for most of the courses, high school diploma plus and the SAT can be accepted. So regardless of your GCA levels, but obviously if you have already done GCA levels, submit them. We will, because there will be too many combinations. Because among international schools from all over the world, we have a lot of different combos. Some students will have SAT, and also for or or high school diploma. You know, high school diploma is probably just a basic that they will have. And also, like for example, like the case of Felipe here, he actually have a Brazilian curriculums, and he actually supplement that with some SAT subjects, stats, and some other international. So we tend to evaluate on case by case, and that will also, just now as I think in the previous session you also asked, it will also depends on the program that he or she is applying to.
Okay, suppose that particular student is applying to the Chinese program or the English program, and does the specific requirements you just listed on a previous slide override the departmental requirement? For example, you know, in order for a student to be considered, is it necessary for him or her to fulfill the entry requirements you listed on that slide before that student could be considered by the specific department?
Okay, so to make it simple, I think that's actually two things. One thing it's actually program requirement, and the other one it's university requirement. So for university requirements, you have to satisfy what is actually listed on our mentioned website. So that's actually case one. But usually, university entrance requirement is a bit more relaxed than the program requirements. Program requirements will actually go into the choice of those subjects depending on the programs that you're applying to. So it's two levels. But sometimes, as I said, in some case by case basis, if there are some students who are very fit into the program, and that's some alternative, for example, like not meeting some of it, we will work on it on a case by case basis to see if he or she actually have some other requirements that can satisfy the university's entrance. Then we will work with the students, because normally when we apply, for example, when you apply in, we get a lot of all these cases. Normally you apply early, say for example in October, you can actually launch an applications right now. All the way until next July or August, you have still quite a lot of time. And some students, for example, if he or she's redeem that, oh, maybe he or she needs an English language requirements in addition to what he or she have right now, then we'll talk to the students to request, we'll ask the students, oh, will you be taking an IELTS or TOEFL? Or sometimes in the case, will you be taking an SAT? Then we will consider their plans on what's actually coming up in the coming, 8 to 9 months to put that. And if that particular student is divulged to us that she is going to take IELTS or going to take SAT, we can put that as a clause in the conditional offer if we want to offer that particular program to he or she. So this can be sometimes can be a bit flexible, and we will work with the students in on a case by case basis if the program wants to take this particular student.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I got a questions from online. Michelle actually asked, I take the IB and would like to know if the IB prepares you well for university in general.
Yes, I would say that it does. The number of essays you write in the IB do help you a lot with just English, for example, University English 1. And it does help you a lot when it comes to essay, but when it comes to the content or the concepts you learn in IB as well. In accounting, for example, it gives you a fundamental in high school, and it teaches you the base concepts, and then the extra stuff that you learn in university sort of supplements it well. And yeah, I would say overall, to answer your question, it does.
Okay, good. So because of time is running out, I think it's already 5. Any one last questions from the floor if you will have?
Earlier you mentioned, I mean, the previous question you mentioned about the early application. So when we apply early, will there be any chance of getting an offer before August, or and if we do get an offer, is there a grace period to accept? And do you have any requirements? Like, can we go back on our decision or anything like that? Thank you.
Okay, so there's a few parts to your questions. One, it's because it's on a rolling basis. When will you actually get an offer? that will actually depends on a lot of factors. If you're an international applicants, you tend to receive an offer earlier. But if you're a local students, you depending on the program, they because it's on a different queue, you will have to actually compare you with the local JUPAS students. So they might take slightly longer to get back to you. But most of the cases for non-JUPAS, you will get it definitely before next year. You get in results from us before next August. You should be not taking that long time. But when you're given an offer, you're given a few weeks to decide whether you want to take up an offer or not. And if you decide to take up an offer, then what we call ACF is you have to pay for a confirmation fee with the universities. But once you pay for a confirmation fee, and later on you want to back down on your decisions, you don't want to come, we won't refund back that particular confirmation fee. I think that's actually the case. But if you are already paid your ACF and you want to change a program, we can't do that. I think that's actually something the last part of the question. So you want to if you want to back down or you want to change some of the decisions that you made, I think that's actually you cannot change once actually giving you an offer. Actually, right from your applications, I would suggest before you submit the applications, think twice on what you want, because we always get questions from students to ask if they can actually change the programs halfway through the application, which we do not allow. Okay. Okay, so thank you. I think that's quite a long period, and really thank you for our 3 student panel today to give us some insights on how to prepare for your university application. So thank you again, and I hope there's still some leftover activities out there. If you have not go to the booth, just go one last push, I think, before they close. And thank you. If you have additional questions after this, so feel free to approach any of our staff if you're here today and ask us individually. Okay. Thank you.